Ja Rule. Ja Rule, he was everywhere in the early 2000s. Songs like Always on Time and Mesmerize were blasting everywhere. He carved out a lane by mixing hardcore rap verses with smooth R&B hooks, a formula that ended up making him one of the most marketable rappers of that era. Between 2004 and 2006, even though his chart dominance was slowing down, he was still making around $3 million. But then the IRS came knocking, and by 2011, they claimed he owed $1.1 million in back taxes, and that landed him 28 months in prison for tax evasion. Fast forward to 2019, it was reported that Ja owed over $2 million more in unpaid taxes. If that wasn't enough, Ja Rule then became tied to one of the most infamous cultural flops of the last decade, the Fyre Festival. Promoted as this ultra-luxury, Instagram-worthy music festival in the Bahamas, the event was hyped with models, private jets, and promises of gourmet meals. Tickets sold for thousands, but then when guests actually arrived in April 2017, they walked into chaos. Nothing but just FEMA tents, boxed cheese sandwiches, and a half-finished site. The whole thing collapsed almost instantly.
It was supposed to be the music festival of all festivals. Concertgoers paid anywhere from $500 to $12,000 for a luxury experience and got anything but that.
Because Ja was one of the public faces of the festival, he got dragged into the lawsuits and fallout. He apologized, distanced himself, but still faced heat, including a $100 million class action lawsuit, which was eventually settled for $2 million in 2021.
The festival is fully postponed, but Ja Rule might have to do more than that, as reports indicate he's been hit with a $100 million lawsuit.
Meanwhile, his business partner, Billy McFarland, got 6 years in prison for fraud. As of 2025, though, Ja's managed to shift focus back to the music, touring, and performing. Tyga. Tyga, his whole brand for a long time was flexing wealth. Flashy cars, stacks of cash, diamond grills, he had it all on display. His relationship with Kylie Jenner during her early rise to superstardom only amplified that image. On Instagram, Tyga was living like a king, but off social media, his finances told a much rougher story. It actually started way back in 2010, when Tyga filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy. At the time, he claimed he had less than $50,000 in assets, but owed anywhere between $100,000 and $500,000. The bankruptcy didn't go through because he made zero payments on his plan. And from there, his money troubles only piled higher. Tyga had a reputation for living in luxury homes he didn't pay for. Landlords took him to court repeatedly for back rent, and in August 2015, he owed $77,000 to one landlord alone. He even had a $10,000 arrest warrant issued when he skipped a court appearance. Cars were another issue. In 2016, he owed nearly $360,000 on a Lamborghini Aventador. That debt, combined with others, led to multiple repossessions of his prized luxury cars.
And he's going to buy a Lambo this week.
There's no way.
Yeah, way.
That's going to be repoed in a month.
No one's gonna sell it to him. He's had 4 cars that have been repoed. There's no way anybody's selling him a car.
And yet, while all of this was happening, Tyga never really stopped flexing, which made his financial downfall play out publicly in a way that made him look reckless. As of 2025, he's still out there making music, still keeping his name relevant, but the reputation of overspending and fake rich antics is something that continues to follow him. Bow Wow. Bow Wow, he was a star as a kid, and he carried that fame into his teen years with hit records, movies, and a run that made him one of the most recognizable young rappers in the game. But unlike the image, his finances were never rock solid. In 2012, during a child custody hearing, Bow Wow openly told the judge he was broke. He said he had only $1,500 in his checking account and that he was pulling in about $4,000 a month at the time. Then came an infamous moment that made him an internet meme, the Bow Wow Challenge. In 2017, he posted a picture of a private jet with a caption about flying out in style. Hours later, someone spotted him flying commercial economy and exposed him. The internet pounced, and suddenly everyone was mocking him with fake flex posts of their own.
Here's Bow Wow. He also goes as Shad Moss. Here's the picture that we saw yesterday on Instagram. Looks like he got off his car, went into his Gulfstream 5 there, and he wrote, "Travel Day, NYC press run for growing up hip hop." It's like he's going to promote a show. Let's go. See this post. This is a user on Snapchat. That's Bow Wow right there, and he writes, "So this guy, Lil Bow Wow, is on my flight to New York," but on Instagram, he posted a picture of a private jet captioned, "Traveling to New York today."
But that wasn't even his first slip-up. In 2016, Bow Wow posted a photo of a giant stack of cash, suggesting it was his net worth. Internet sleuths quickly discovered that he had actually stolen the photo from entrepreneur Timothy Sykes, who posted it years earlier. Sykes even called Bow Wow out publicly and challenged him to donate $100,000 to charity if he really had that money. Bow Wow never responded. By 2019, reports put his net worth around $1.5 million. Not broke, but not the mega millionaire his online persona implied. Fat Joe. Joe has been in the game for decades, with bangers like What's Love and Lean Back cementing his place in hip-hop history. But even a veteran like Joe wasn't safe from the IRS. His first brush came in 2010 when he owed about $105,000 to New Jersey. He managed to pay that off, but 2 years later, things escalated. By 2012, the IRS accused him of failing to pay taxes on $3 million in income between 2007 and 2010, which translated to about $718,000 in unpaid taxes. Joe tried to explain it away, saying he trusted the financial experts he hired to handle things. His exact words were basically that you hire people with Harvard degrees for this, implying he wasn't really paying attention. But the courts didn't buy that. He pleaded guilty to tax evasion and ended up serving 4 months in prison. It was a humbling moment for a rapper who had long been respected as a Bronx legend. DMX. At its peak in the late 90s and early 2000s, DMX was untouchable. 5 straight #1 albums, sold-out shows, movies, and endorsements. The money poured in, but just as quickly as it came, it disappeared. DMX was plagued by financial problems for most of his adult life. He filed for bankruptcy multiple times in 2009, 2013, and 2016, but none of them went through because the courts found inconsistencies, delays, or outright lies in his filings. By 2013, he was reported to owe $1.24 million in child support, on top of nearly $2.3 million in unpaid taxes. Between 2010 and 2015, he didn't file taxes at all, which left him owing another $2.29 million. At one point, DMX claimed to have only $50,000 in assets and to be earning as little as $1,600 a month, even though his career had generated millions over the years. The IRS eventually cracked down hard. In 2018, he was sentenced to 1 year in prison for tax evasion, one of many stints he spent behind bars over financial and legal troubles.
DMX was allowed to listen to his own song in court today before a judge sentenced him to a year in prison for tax fraud. DMX had requested to hear his song Slippin', and the judge agreed.
His manager would later point the finger at poor financial management from past representatives, but at the end of the day, X was drowning in debt for decades. The tragedy, of course, is that DMX passed away in April 2021 after an overdose. His story has become one of the most heartbreaking in hip-hop. Lil Kim. Lil Kim, one of the coldest and most influential female rappers hip-hop has ever seen. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, everything she touched turned to gold. Her debut album Hardcore went double platinum, and she kept that same momentum with the notorious K.I.M. and La Belle Mafia. But while Kim was winning musically, her finances were quietly spiraling in the opposite direction.
Hi, can I ask you some questions? Sure. Because you are looking fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
What are you wearing? Because I need that, okay? Take it off now.
Yeah, this is something you definitely need.
Like, totally.
Yes.
At one point, Kim was sitting on millions. By 2019, though, her net worth had dropped to around $500,000. The cracks in her finances started to show way earlier. Back in 2008, her former label hit her with a $2.8 million lawsuit. A few years later, in 2012, the IRS came knocking, accusing her of owing $1 million in back taxes. Things came to a head in 2018 when she filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, revealing just how deep in the hole she was, about $4 million in total debt. That included nearly $2 million owed to the feds and over $660,000 in mortgage payments she had fallen behind on. The biggest weight on her shoulders, though, was her New Jersey mansion. She bought it for $2.3 million back in 2003, but by 2010, it had already gone into foreclosure once. She fought to keep it, but by 2015, she stopped making payments again. In 2015, the court officially declared her in default, and things looked bad. The government even threatened to auction off the house for as little as $100 just to clear it. That's when Kim pulled her last card and filed for bankruptcy to stop the sale. A judge gave her a second chance, letting her keep the mansion if she paid $32,000 immediately and then kept up with $10,000 monthly installments. Nas, a hip-hop royalty. His debut album Illmatic is practically sacred in the culture, but even legends can slip up with money. His financial issues came into the spotlight during his ugly divorce from singer Khalees in 2009. Court documents revealed he owed his manager $700,000 and millions in back taxes to the IRS. On top of that, the judge ordered him to pay over $50,000 every month in alimony and child support, plus $300,000 in back payments. By 2012, his Georgia home was gone too, foreclosed after he defaulted on a $400,000 loan.
Your personal business has been in the news heavy. Any comments?
Nope. I never was that kind of dude. It took me by surprise that today's game, though, no matter who you are, you can wind up out there.
Then in 2014, the mother of his daughter from a previous relationship dragged him to court, accusing him of being a repeat non-supporter who owed more than $11,000 in child support. But fortunately for Nas, he flipped the script. Instead of going broke, he leaned into his business side. He started making smart investments through his venture capital firm, putting money into tech companies and startups, and it paid off. Today, Nas's net worth sits around $70 million. Xzibit. Everybody knew him from the West Coast rap scene, the mastermind behind Criss Cross, So Def Records, and hit albums from Da Brat, Jagged Edge, and even Bow Wow. But he reached a whole new level of fame as the host of MTV's Pimp My Ride. At its peak, that show had him pulling in close to $500,000 a year.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
You got your own hip-hop porn.
Wow.
Because I know I'm going to break suddenly when I hear that.
The problem was when Pimp My Ride got canceled in 2007, that big money stopped, but his spending didn't. His salary plummeted to around $65,000 the next year, but he was still living like he had TV money rolling in. By 2010, he was $1.4 million in debt, and nearly $1 million of that was taxes. To make matters worse, his flashy lifestyle didn't slow him down. He was leasing a Range Rover for more than $2,000 a month and juggling properties in California and New Mexico. Bankruptcy should have been a solution, but when he tried to file twice, once in 2009 and again in 2010, both cases were thrown out because the courts didn't buy the numbers he presented. So instead of relief, he was left stuck with debt and no steady income to cover it. By 2011, he was almost bankrupt. He owed $500,000 to Georgia in taxes and $3 million more to the IRS. SunTrust Bank hit him with a $1.9 million lawsuit, and if he couldn't pay, they had the right to take not just his house and cars, but also the master recordings of So Def, and that's exactly what almost happened. By 2014, his $3.7 million Atlanta mansion was gone, lost to foreclosure after nearly a decade of living there. 50 Cent. He came into the game and completely changed hip-hop with Get Rich or Die Tryin'. By 2007, Forbes had him ranked second only to Jay-Z in hip-hop wealth, with an estimated net worth of $500 million. That came not just from music, but also from smart plays like his investment in Vitamin Water, which earned him somewhere between $50 and $100 million. But even with that kind of paper, legal troubles can drag anybody down. In 2015, 50 filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy after getting hit with two huge lawsuits, a $7 million case tied to an S-tape scandal, and a $17 million judgment over his headphones company. All in, he was $36 million in debt, way more than the $20 million in assets he claimed.
The rapper known as
50 Cent.
Yes, he's bankrupt, we're told. What is he really?
Forbes magazine listed him as one of the hip-hop's 5 wealthiest artists, to a woman who said that he posted her private tape on the internet. The jury was supposed to meet this week to consider punitive damages, too.
Okay, but all that has come to a standstill because the rapper filed for personal bankruptcy protection.
But while claiming to be broke in court, he was on Instagram flexing with stacks of cash, cars, and mansions. When the judge pressed him on it, he shrugged it off, saying the money was just prop cash for photos and videos. His lawyers even argued that it was all marketing to keep his brand alive. Eventually, he worked out a repayment plan to cover $23 million over 5 years and came out the other side still standing. Over time, 50 has rebuilt himself through TV and film, especially with his hit series Power and its spin-offs. Young Buck. As one of the original members of G-Unit, he was part of one of the biggest movements in hip-hop during the 2000s. Being linked to 50 Cent and that whole empire looked like a golden ticket to financial security, but things went left. His money problems hit rock bottom when the IRS literally ran up in his home to collect on $334,000 in unpaid taxes. Agents walked off with anything of value: dining room chairs, clocks, crab tables, even his refrigerator. They auctioned it all off in 2012, everything from watches to a soda machine, even a plaque 50 Cent had given him.
Well, 2 dozen people took home TVs, fur coats, and diamonds that once belonged to Nashville rapper Young Buck.
The IRS auctioned some of his most valuable equipment after he failed to pay taxes.
In a matter of minutes, the stuff fame and fortune brought him.
Approximately 195 diamonds, 148 rubies.
Was gone.
A lot of the trouble stemmed from miscommunication. His lawyer and manager allegedly argued over who should be paying taxes, and both sides tried writing off way too many things as business expenses. That sloppiness snowballed into a mountain of debt. By the time bankruptcy filings came into play, 22 different creditors had claims against him totaling over $11 million. To make matters worse, he got hit with accusations of hiding money from the courts, moving income into another account instead of reporting it. If proven, that would have been fraud, something that could have turned his financial crisis into criminal charges. Instead of a positive net worth, Buck was reported as sitting at negative $300,000. Trick Daddy. Trick Daddy, a Miami legend, pioneer of that gritty Florida rap sound. Early 2000s, he was untouchable with songs like Let's Go and Take It to the House, and an image that made him the face of Southern thug rap. But while his music was loud and flashy, his finances were falling apart quietly behind the scenes. His money problems started with taxes. Since around 2002, he had been ducking the IRS. And by late 2000s, he owed nearly $300,000 in back taxes.
Boy, listen, 5 years worth of taxes cost me 200 times the amount because they penalize me.
That's right. That's right.
Every 24 hours.
Yeah. What's the most you owed?
Millions.
On top of that, his Miami home got foreclosed in 2010. His income was sliding too. In 2016, he only made about $75,000, and by early 2017, that number had dropped to just $17,000. Meanwhile, his debts stacked up to nearly $1 million, including child support arrears and back taxes. Bankruptcy became a revolving door. Trick filed for Chapter 13 3 different times in 3 years, mostly as a way to stop foreclosure and hold on to his house, but every time the agreements collapsed because he couldn't keep up with the payments. By the time of his last filing in 2017, he claimed he had assets between $100,000 and $500,000, but not a single dollar in the bank. To make matters worse, he still owed $280,000 on his house. MC Hammer. MC Hammer, he was a pop culture phenomenon. You Can't Touch This was everywhere. His 1990 album Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him sold like crazy, and at his peak, he was worth upwards of $70 million.
Dude, how's the house doing, that nice house we keep reading about?
Oh, it's doing good. You know, it's coming along slowly but surely, you know.
But just as fast as the money came, it disappeared. By 1996, he was filing for bankruptcy with $13 million in debt, and the reason was overspending. Hammer had an army of over 200 people on his payroll, costing $500,000 to $1 million per month. He bought a mansion worth up to $30 million, collected 19 racehorses, owned helicopters, a jet, luxury cars, even owed Deion Sanders $500,000.
Now, you were building bowling alleys at the house, too, and I know your partner, Evander, loves to bowl.
When bankruptcy came, he reported $9.6 million in assets against $13.7 million in debt, and the IRS, as always, was waiting in the wings with another $780,000 tax bill from the mid-90s. Hammer later told Oprah he wouldn't change a thing. He believed every mistake led to where he was today, including his family and peace of mind. He went on to reinvent himself, becoming a speaker and advocate for financial literacy. Scarface. Scarface, Houston rap legend, the man behind classics and still regarded as one of the South's most important MCs, found himself drowning in legal issues because of unpaid child support. At one point, his net worth was reported as negative $500,000. He owed more than $123,000 across 4 separate child support cases. Scarface claimed he did pay, but the problem was he never went through the proper court system. Without receipts or legal documentation, the courts treated it like he hadn't paid anything at all. That mistake cost him 10 months in jail before his release in 2011. Afterwards, Scarface became very vocal about the experience, warning other fathers, if you don't pay through the courts, you don't get credit for it. But his troubles didn't stop there. In 2015, right after appearing at the BET Hip Hop Awards, he was arrested on another outstanding child support warrant. T-Pain. T-Pain, the man who soundtracked the mid-2000s. You couldn't escape his voice. From solo hits to features, he was everywhere. He reportedly made over $40 million at his peak, but when the bubble popped, the collapse was rough. For T-Pain, the problem was real estate. He invested heavily into properties, but according to him, his manager was overly optimistic, buying dumps, thinking a coat of paint would turn them into gold. The flips never happened and T-Pain kept pouring money in without seeing anything come back. Slowly, the fortune dried up.
Something that didn't work for $40 million. What were you invested in?
Real estate.
Real estate?
Yeah.
Shoot. You buy retail?
No, but I was letting my manager do it. He was way more optimistic than I was.
The low point came when T-Pain admitted there was a time he was so broke, he had to borrow money just to buy Burger King for his kids.
When you say you was broke, you had like $0 broke?
I had to borrow money to get my kids Burger King.
Wow.
Yeah.
After having, what's the most you ever had in the bank at one time?
40 million.
But unlike some others, T-Pain bounced back. He learned from the mistakes, rebuilt his career, and today, he's not only financially stable, but also respected as one of the most creative forces in hip-hop history.